You're listening to the Ridge Journal Podcast with Josh Lloyd.
Okay, this is our exit interview with Coach John Faircloth of the Owen Warhorses. How are you today, John?
I'm doing well, thank you.
You've been here 2 years now?
Yeah, we just finished up our second season.
So in 2 short years, what do you feel the team has accomplished as a whole?
If you're taking the wins and losses out of it, right, I think we've accomplished, how to approach it, how to have that, this isn't a hobby, kind of mindset, that the casualness is out, and we've done a better job with how we prepare for people. And we've asked a lot of our guys in the past 2 years, and being able to have some success and be in some close ball games over the course of the past 2 seasons, I think has really, showed them like, oh wow, like, okay, this does work. This dude does know what he's talking about. And it's kind of helped us to at least create a platform where we can continue to have some success moving forward.
In one sentence, and this is a tough question, what was this Owen team by the end of the season? What was this in one sentence? Can you tell me? You can give me
I can say it in 2 words.
Sure. Even better.
They were fun and they were resilient.
I see that too.
It was a really fun group to be around. I've been on 8-10 win teams that were miserable to be a part of. And I've been on some not so good teams that were fun to be a part of, and everything in between. These guys were fun to be around. Their energy level was great. They enjoyed being around each other. And then, both on and off the field, they've shown a whole lot of resilience, a whole lot of growing up. Being able to see adversity, expect adversity, and respond to adversity. We've got to do a little bit better job of being consistent with it, but from February 1st of 2024 until today, the growth and development of this program and the young men involved with it has been very pleasing.
One thing I noticed was that many of them seem to work together at the local Ingles, right? They're gelled in a way because they're not just teammates, they're coworkers too, and classmates, obviously. But the community seems to really provide these guys with opportunities off the field that really helps them thrive.
Yeah, I think a lot of that has to do with just living in a small town, right? Living in a small community. A lot of our local businesses do a great job of employing our kids and having them involved, and it helps when you have so many young men that you would recommend anyways.
Yeah.
So now they're going out into the community in different roles that maybe people aren't accustomed to seeing them in, and they're having success there too. And so that bond just continues to grow in different areas, right? And so even something as simple as working at the local grocery store, they can take things that they do out here on the football field and they can still apply it there as far as, it's still a team setting. There's still goals. There's still things to achieve. So we like to kind of think of it as just spreading that culture throughout the community in the way that, we best know how.
One of my first encounters with one of your captains this year was actually at Ingles. And it was late at night. You could tell he had just gotten out of practice and he was already back at the job working, and his nose was all beat up. Like he had like a gash across his nose, and he had like a bandage on his arm, and he I don't think he had showered. And I was just checking out, and I was like, "Hey man, you play football?" And he was like, "How'd you know?" And I'm like, "I don't know, just short tales here. I can tell you play football." And he started telling me about your team, and then he was talking about how y'all were running the triple option, and he was really excited about the fact that you were running at least aspects of the triple option, because that I think for the community here, that goes back to an era when Owen was really, really successful as a football team. And so when I got word that you were running the triple, I was like, well, I may go talk to your coach because, as you know now, we're developing a documentary specifically about the triple. And so I thought that was really interesting to see. And then each time I'd come in, I'd see him and other players more and more. And then by by week 10, I found myself out here at a game. I think it was week 11 actually, but still. And I was very excited to see you guys running and pitching the ball. And, you know, while I could tell y'all were still working out some kinks even late in the season, those are building blocks for the next season. Mm-hmm. And it looks like you've got some good players coming back who can really take this and run with it.
We knew that we needed to be unique. I hope that I'm not insulting anybody by saying this, but, you know, where we stand as a program and where we stood when I first got here, we were not going to beat anybody by going chest to chest with people and doing what other people do. So we needed a creative way that was going to be a little bit different, that people were going to have to play us a little bit different. You know, if a team has an aggressive defensive line, you know, all of a sudden we can make them not so aggressive because we're going to read them and we're going to cut them and we're going to, you know, move lateral with them. And in today's football world, people don't see that every week. So now you've got to coach your kids differently for that week. So really it's just putting your ego aside. And I think that the triple option is probably the most unselfish form of football that you can be a part of. Mm-hmm. You cannot be a me monster in this system, and that matriculates into the rest of the program, right? Like, we don't want me monsters. We don't want, you know, joy suckers, as we call them. You know, the people that just like take the life out of something. So to have a complete organization, if you would, that supports what we do, and our kids see it, and it fits them, right? Like we don't have, you know, 4-4-40 kids. You know, we don't have a quarterback that can throw the ball 70 yards in the air. You know, and you know, when I first got here, there was one person in the program over 200 pounds.
Right.
You know, so we're not going to zone block people a lot, you know. So it fits our kids. It gives us an attack mindset. And it really just plays into the culture of the program itself. And I think our kids enjoy being a part of it.
All right, so I want to talk a little bit about the triple for a minute, because I just had a vision in my mind when you were talking about going chest to chest with people. You know, the triple reminds me a lot of like the Americans in the Revolutionary War deciding to go guerrilla rather than going chest to chest with the English the way they had fought for centuries in the past. And, you know, that worked for the English because they had so many people and they weren't worried about the lives of the soldiers at all. They would just do a numbers game. Well, if there's 600 of us and there's 200 of them, let's just march at them until we just obliterate them. That, you know, it's hard to parallel that to the air attack of the 2025 season and what we saw from other teams. But when you shift into the triple option, and you may or may not have all of the athletes that those air attack teams might have, all of a sudden you're kind of on the flanks and you're catching them on the corners and they're not expecting you there. And a lot of times when you expose a defense, you're exposing their defensive backs. You're exposing the corners, their inability to bite and to take a hit from a fullback, and, you know, or a back and a B back coming together at one time, or a pulling guard or anybody like that. And so it's interesting for me, and I don't really have a question here, but it's interesting for me to see the triple kind of play out that way, because it is a guerrilla tactic in a way to take on a bigger team, a much more bigger team in size, a better team in talent. You can equalize the playing field in many ways running the triple option.
Well, and I love that you see it that way too, because it's kind of how we see it. You know, everything that we do and programs that I've been a part of in the past, everything feeds off of each other, right? Like what we do on special teams matters because it impacts what we do on defense, and what we do on defense matters because of what we do on offense. Yeah. And we don't have I hope that I'm making sense when I say this. We don't have an offensive scheme, defensive scheme, special team scheme. We have an Owen scheme.
Yeah.
Where we're trying to accomplish other things. We're trying to accomplish winning field position, winning turnover battles. We're trying to execute critical situations like, 4-minute defense, 2-minute offense, 3rd and 4th downs. We're trying to do those things. How we get there isn't necessarily relevant, if that makes sense. I'm a defensive guy by trade. The majority of my career has been on the defensive side of the ball. And I really don't care if we give up 600 yards of offense.
Right.
I really don't. If we can hold the opponent to under 24 points, then we've accomplished the ultimate task, because last time I looked, you don't lose a game by giving up more yards than the other team. So getting our guys to see that, we talk about that with our guys. Like, we talk about it. We let them know what the game plan is. This is how we're looking at it. This is what's going to help us be successful. And in return, our football IQ has gone up a little bit. Now, that's been a little difficult because social media and what they see on Saturdays and Sundays is different. They hear so-and-so's thrown for 3,800 yards and 40 touchdowns, and that sounds really cool, but the genetic makeup of this team versus this team versus this team is different, and getting them to understand the big picture. And the triple falls into that. I don't think the Americans in the Revolutionary War cared how they won.
No.
They just knew what they wanted the end result to be, and we're very similar.
Well, they were thinking about their children.
Yeah.
They were like, what will my kids eat tonight?
Yeah. Sometimes you don't care how you win. You just want to win.
That's right.
And so that's kind of how we look at it. So I like that analogy. I'm probably going to steal that analogy.
Fine, take it.
That might be the first thing we talk about Monday after the break.
I gave you a sermon.
You did. You gave me a motivational speech.
Yeah. Oh, God. I had so many questions roll through my head while you were talking. I just have to pick one. I'm going to go back to my original one that I thought. So, as you know, but the viewers might not, my background is with Newton Conover High School, and I work predominantly in the Western Foothills for a 5A conference. But I live in the Owen district. I'm a proud member of the Black Mountain community, and I just happen to travel down there because of roots to my father. One thing that an old man was telling me on camera not too long ago, about a year ago, Don Patrick at Newton Conover, the retired AD, former head coach, was that, in his day, when you threw the ball, two things could happen, and neither of them were good, right? Either you waste a down or you throw an interception and turn the ball over. When it comes to the triple, this is an adaptation that really, the triple's been around since the beginning of leather hat football, but as we moved from the 90s to 2000s, the modern triple kind of came into its own. And Don did not run the triple. He ran like a power ISO. He had a few other things that he ran, but they weren't the triple. Nick Basil comes in, he installs the triple. The triple, in many ways, is equally as dangerous as throwing the football, because now we're letting the ball go into the air on lateral. And I witnessed in your playoff game here a few times when that didn't go your way. And at any point when you begin optioning the ball off, pitching the ball off, all sorts of mayhem can take place, good or bad for the offense. What do you say to your players in practice? And we could probably cut the footage, but what do you say to your players in practice about containing the ball, holding onto the football, making sure that that pitch goes to the right person and it doesn't land on the ground?
I mean, just like everybody else in America, we preach ball security. We do ball security circuits and ball security drills.
Yeah.
We work the pitch every day in practice. A lot of times a bad pitch is because of the relationship. You know, we teach a 5-by-1 relationship off of the pitch.
Can you explain the 5-by-1?
Yeah, so, you know, if we got our quarterback and our pitch guy, which we call our pitch guy, our Z, which is non-traditional triple option terminology.
Right.
We honestly, side note, we call him a Z for passing purposes. So it's just something we kind of came up with. But if I got my quarterback here and my Z here, my pitch guy, we want him to be 5 yards distance and 1 yard behind.
Correct.
So we work that every day. We work that in Thursday walkthrough. We work it Friday morning and walk through hey, 5-by-1, 5-by-1, 5-by-1. And the Z is responsible for that 5-by-1, nobody else. So that's his job to be 5-by-1.
Match the quarterback's pace.
He's got to be. He's got to match the angle. He's got to match the pace. He's got to match, the trajectory. That's him. And it comes down to trust. It's the same thing, a quarterback throwing a bubble out there.
Same. Yep.
It's the exact same. That guy's got to trust that the guys blocking on the perimeter have it marked up and they've seen force and they've seen angle and he's not going to die, when he catches the ball. We've put some on the carpet before, a lot more in our first year than this past year.
Sure.
But we've done a pretty, knock on wood, I don't think we lost a pitch fumble this year.
No, and the only fumble I saw was after the ball was secured.
Yes.
And it was about 7-10 yards down the field.
Yeah, which is a whole nother issue, right?
Yeah, sure.
So,
you inherited a program that was struggling, and now you've already seen growth. What's the biggest sign that the culture is shifting here at Owen?
it's honestly a hard question to answer because it's almost like the frog in the boiling pot.
Right.
He's in the boiling pot, and as the water,
Great analogy.
The water temperature grows, he doesn't notice a difference. I've been in the thick of it since February 1st of 2024. So I knew by about July of that first year kind of where we stood, and it wasn't that we didn't have good kids. It wasn't that we didn't have, the makings of a team that could be successful.
Yeah.
It was we didn't have confidence.
Yeah.
The buy-in was there. Everything was there. The want was there. Just didn't have confidence. Didn't have consistency. And the coaches before me, it wasn't like they didn't have discipline and structure and,
Sure.
and all that stuff. All those things were in place. We just, when you've been kicked around, it's hard. It's hard to, I think all the married men will understand what I'm saying here. I think my wife is the most beautiful woman in the world. But,
She'll appreciate this.
I think she's the most beautiful woman in the world, but, she probably doesn't look the same as she did when she was 21 when we met.
We'll cut that part out.
Well, what I'm saying is her confidence may not be what it once was, or
Sure.
all this stuff. And I want to, sometimes you just want to grab her and just, God, if you could just see yourself through my eyes.
Yeah.
You know, if you could see what I see. Honestly, it's how I felt about a lot of these young men. Like, can you just, if you could just see yourself through my eyes and have that confidence and know that you are good, like you're good enough, and you know.
This brings me to a great segue.
And you can edit that however you want. But,
I might just
you know,
leave it, and I want to say it like this. I could, at this point in time, cut to a section where we were on the 40-yard line, and those boys went down 2 touchdowns in the last game of the season, and you were like, get the defeat out of your eyes. You're only down 14 points, guys. But because of the hereditary loss of Owen football over the last 14 years or decade or so since Kenny left, they have been told that they're not good, and they have been told that they couldn't win. And, you know, they grew up, those boys grew up hearing about that with their brothers and with the boys older than them, and the kids that they looked up to, they would come in and lose too. And so for them, they're like, well, we're not better than they were, but they were.
That playoff game was a whole nother, I mean, we could have a whole hour-long segment on that playoff game, what went wrong. And
I got time.
How it, you know, not saying,
No, I know.
you know, not saying we should have won that game. You know, their coaches did a great job. Their kids executed a phenomenal game plan, but we didn't.
They controlled the ball the whole game.
They beat us at our own game.
Yeah.
You know, truthfully, they did what we do, and you know, we try to make people die from 1,000 paper cuts.
Sure.
You know, and when we can do that, we're really good. And they kind of beat us at our own game, and our kids, in a unique way, got to see the other side of how people feel when they play us.
Yes.
You know,
They just 3 yards at a time.
Yep, and we didn't do a good job of responding, and you know, we lost a turnover battle, and had a drive or two where we didn't get points that needed to get points, and they were much better than us on third downs, and they beat us at our own game.
I really enjoyed that belly pass that did not connect.
Yeah.
That would have been a momentum shift that probably could have won Owen the game right there.
Yeah.
Nothing to the kid who dropped the ball.
Yeah.
That was one of those miracle plays where, like, you look up and it's in your breadbasket and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And it either goes or it doesn't. And but the execution of that play was perfect, and it was reminiscent of what I saw with Nick Basil in his final season.
Yeah. It stings, you know. You'd really like to have had that 6th win, especially with that group, you know, that did so, you know, some special things throughout the year. But you know, you can even rewind a little bit back to our season. Our schedule, the way it's set up, 3 of our last 4 games are mountain powerhouses,
Yeah.
right? Your Mitchells, your Heritages, and your Hendersonvilles, where, you know, our kids know this. It's not something that I'm hiding from them. Like, we're just not there yet. We're not there physically. We're not there numbers-wise. You know, that's that other step that honestly we're just not there yet. And so you're 4-2. An opportunity to be 5-1, you know, with not converting a 2-point conversion at the end of a game. You know, you're having success, people are patting you on the back, and then you go into that gauntlet of the Mitchell, Hendersonville, Heritage. Now all of a sudden the playoffs are here, and all right, now you got to bring them back. Hey, I need you to remember 4 weeks ago how great we were playing, how great we were doing. And, you know, there's certain areas of our program that we're still working on.
That happens down in the 4A, 5A too, because you got the 5A teams, and you know, these games don't matter. They matter, but they don't really matter. They matter for power ranking, I guess, and stuff like that. But like a Newton Conover has to play, and the exact same thing happened. They're 2-0, 3-0. They go in. They got Hickory High, East Lincoln, Maiden, right off the bat. And you know, those are tough games. And so one thing I want to ask you, you seem like you're a very calm coach. You're not a screamer. At least I haven't witnessed you screaming. You're quite cordial and polite. How do you teach violence? Because you have to be violent to win this game.
Yeah, I think there's a couple reasons with my demeanor, and you're not the first person that says that, so
There's nothing wrong with it.
Well, yeah, I understand it's a little unique, and sometimes it's different. You know, like I've hung out with Kenny Ford before. Like, you know, he's a very intense guy.
You may live longer, by the way.
I don't know, man. He's, you know, Kenny's the man. He just being around him, just the aura that is Kenny Ford is always great to be around.
Everyone describes him as a wild man.
He is, but you know, our personalities are very different. Here, I used to be very vocal, very in your face, very intense. And I was fortunate to GA with a guy who just love him, like just absolutely love him, and just taught me so much about life. And I remember him telling me one time, he said, you know, if you yell at them all the time, it loses its value.
Yeah.
So then I started tinkering around with using my voice as a coaching tool.
Yes.
Right? Like sometimes I yell and I'm not really mad.
Yeah, same.
I'm trying to communicate something in a different tone.
You're excited.
Yeah, or I'm trying to get a level of intensity up in a certain area. So I think more so my calmness, if you would, is me using my voice as a tool. Also, here's another. I don't play on Friday night. Like my days are over. I've done the work. Majority of the time when I wake up Friday morning, I feel confident in the game plan that we've put together. We've prepared the kids. They've got to go out and execute. So why do I need to get worked up when there's nothing? I'm prepared. I know when I'm going to go for it on fourth down. I know when I'm going to go for a 2-point conversion. I've trained them up on what a free kick is and what to do when the ball on a kickoff is, you know, almost out of bounds but not quite. All right, if you put your foot out of bounds and touch the ball, we're going to get it at 35 because you're established out of bounds, you're going to get that penalty. I've taught them all this stuff. So there's no need for me to get worked up. I've got to maintain my focus so that I can make sure that throughout the course of that 48 minutes or longer, I have them in the best situation possible. I've got to execute my game plan. I've got to execute me, be the best version of me. And I've also learned, and you can watch this in any sport, if the coach starts getting frustrated and the coach starts getting mad and he starts yelling at the officials, then the players are going to do the same. And now you don't have composure. We preach so much about composure. So if I lose my composure, I just gave everybody in the stands, all the players, all the assistant coaches, I just gave everybody the green light to lose their composure.
Yes.
And I'm conscious of that stuff.
Yeah, and sometimes people want you to lose your composure because they're ready to come off the hinge. And at the moment you do that, it's just no good. I witnessed it happen this year. I'm not going to mention any names, but I saw it happen twice.
Yeah, it's just...
Where the coach lost is cool.
Yeah, and I've admittingly did that in the past. I want it to be warranted. Like if I have a come apart, right, I need to make sure it's worth it and there's a purpose behind it. There's a purpose.
Because the whole stadium's watching.
No doubt.
You got a whole audience back here.
Sometimes, and it's not about you.
No.
They did not buy the ticket to come see you. Mm-hmm. I guarantee you, with the exception of your family, if there are 2,000 people in the stands, 1,994 of them did not come to see John Faircloth.
That's right.
Guaranteed. So, no, I need to be able to execute my part of the drill here.
I had a flashback to when I was in my junior year. We were playing South Iredale, and at that time, South Iredale was very dirty. And the play is over, 50-yard line. Our tight end type guy, he was really kind of more of a pulling guard, but he would move around. He's just back there standing there. Play's dead. One of their defensive guys just comes and puts his helmet in his knee. And my dad was the coach, and he came unhinged. I mean, this was that moment, right, where the parents are like, hey, what are you going to do? And so the whole team basically gets off their seat, and, like, all the coaches run out, and they didn't even call a flag, you know, but it was just like, because, you know, the ref's back, his guy's back to it. And I'm just thinking to myself, you know, how do these things even happen? And honestly, I think we live in a more civilized era of football now. We don't see that as much as I think when I played.
Well, I think there's rules in place now that kind of hinder that. I think that just the game's evolved, you know. But, you know, I'm sitting here as you're talking, I'm thinking about, you know, again, this is me. This isn't anybody else. And there's going to be coaches that see this and think, I would never do that, and that's fine. But, like, guys that, you know, because if you go to argue with an official,
right,
they're going to tell you, Coach, if you use a timeout, I'll come talk to you or whatever. Well, I'm not going to do that.
No.
Because you're not going to change your mind.
No.
And I want my timeout.
For reasons.
Because, again, I've already gone through this game 4, 5, 6 times in my head, on film. I mean, one of my favorite things to do, and I don't think I'm reinventing the wheel here, one of my favorite things to do is on Thursday, sit down with call sheets, my game plan, and watch a game that maybe we didn't incorporate in our data or something like that. And I go through every call and every situation and prepare myself of, okay, that's 4th and 2 from the -46. We would go for it here. Here would be the call. This is the look. I love doing that.
Yeah, it's great.
So
it's a math problem.
There's so much math in football. It's unbelievable.
I know.
But, and I wish I would have known that when I was 17.
You paid more attention?
I would have paid a lot. I would have paid a lot more attention to geometry and statistics.
Well, you should.
You know?
Back then, they didn't have that football class.
Yeah, no doubt. But, you know, so I've already thought through all that stuff. So why would I burn that time out to argue with an official when I know in my back pocket I'm gonna need that. I'm gonna want that. I know what situations I'm gonna use that for. And that's just another aspect of, if I do this way, I've already prepared, but if I react this way, if I do something this way, then I have thrown off, I'm not doing a good job at doing my part, putting my kids in the best position to be successful.
When this season did you feel that shift where the kids realized they could win ball games?
I'm going to give a long-winded answer on this, and I'm sorry.
Please.
I think you've got to go back to the ending of our first year here. 3, I believe I'm right here, 3 of our last 4 games were separated. 3 of the games from that first year we lost by a combined 6 points.
Wow.
And then we won a 1-point game somewhere in the middle of that. And when we came out at the beginning of this year, we lost to Cherryville High School by 1 point. We opted to go for 2 at the end of the game and didn't get it.
Cherryville's tough too.
They are. I think if they were in any other league, even in the league they're in, they're competitive and do some good stuff against teams. But if they were in another league, it'd be an 8-10 win team. They've got athletes, they've got size. They're a lot better than people give them credit for.
Yeah.
Their coaching staff's done a great job down there. So we lose by 1 in Cherryville after we played about the worst first half I've ever seen us play before. And
they get the bugs out.
Yep. And again, this is something I saw. This isn't something I created. I've been a part of a lot of rebuilds, which is very fortunate in my career. And there's four tiers to it, right? And between tier 2 and tier 3, tier 2 is being competitive in games and losing close ball games, and then tier 3 is winning close ball games, right? Like being able to flip that. And that's a very difficult transition, right? That's a very tough, critical part of that. So we lose to Cherryville by 1, and I think the way that we reacted to that game helped us, right? Because then, we came out the following week and we did not play great. We did not play great. And we were actually pretty beat up and missing, I believe, 3 starters, and we still won. And then 2 weeks later, we're sitting at 2-2. We go down to Polk, and again, just not playing great, like ugly football. And we win a 1-score ball game. And then... What
was the score of the Polk County game?
17-14.
17-14.
Yep.
Well, we have some overlap then, because of my work with Newton. Newton went into Polk County, I think in week 2, might have been the week before or after y'all. And they beat them, I don't know, it was like 49-20 something.
Yeah, again, we know, we talk about it. Shoot, it's part of our, probably 90% of our pregame speeches. Like, make this thing ugly.
Yeah.
Make it ugly.
Be violent.
Make it, we want to turn every game into a backyard brawl.
Yeah.
We don't fight fair. And if you look at our games, especially the ones that we won this year, they're just I don't have another word, but it's just ugly. Like, we're not doing things the way we're supposed to. We're not, doing this right. We're not doing that right. And as a coach, it's super frustrating, and then you find a way to win the game.
Yeah.
And so...
That's the story of a lot of teams.
It just... and I'd take an ugly win over a pretty loss.
You've said that to me before. I like that statement.
All the time. You definitely take an ugly win over a pretty loss. But
yeah,
that's why I say they were fun to be around, because people might call me a liar on this. When we were in a 14-14 ball game against Polk and we got the ball, I knew we were going to win it. I knew we were going to win it.
Yeah.
We had just lost a very close game.
Yeah.
A very competitive game. And when we got the ball back, I think there was 8.5 on the clock. We knew what we wanted to do. We knew that we could get some first downs. I felt confident in our special teams performance. I knew that we cover situational football so much that even if Polk got the ball back, that we were going to be able to play a little looser, and I knew with 8.5 to go in the ball game, in a tie ball game, we were going to win the game. I had that confidence.
Yeah, and that's also experience.
Yeah, I mean, you're getting a feel for the game,
It's a lot like that Phillip Rivers game. He scores, and then they get the field goal, but then the Seahawks had a minute and 20 left to get to the 40, and they did. They won.
Yeah, and as a coach, I'm already going through that stuff in my head, right?
Yeah.
Okay, there's 8.5 to go. We have the ball. They have this many timeouts. We have that many timeouts. I know their long snapper got hurt in the second quarter, and I ain't seen him back, So if it comes down to a field goal, they got somebody else who's going to be snapping the ball. All right, what if we turn the ball over? Well, if we turn the ball over, then this is how I got to play it. This is what we're going to do. All right, what if we score and leave too much time on the clock? All right, then this is what we're going to do. We're going to make sure that the kickoff stays in bounds. I've already worked through that stuff in my head, right? I've already worked through it. You know, if you see me on a Friday night, I don't have a call sheet. I don't. I've got a piece of paper that's not laminated. I actually get mad if someone accidentally laminates it because I've got someone else in charge of printing off game day sheets. I've got one sheet of paper that has different columns of analytics and things that I just fold up and put in my back pocket, and you'll see me walk. You know, the ball may be down here on this 20, and I'm down here at this 30 because I need to get away from everybody for 30 seconds and look at my sheet.
Yeah.
So that I know where I'm at on the field, what the situation is, how much time's on the clock, you know, because again, I'm trying to put our kids in that situation to be successful.
All right. You've talked about toughness and doing the little things right. What's one habit you demanded that you think paid off most? Is it the weight room? Is it more than the weight room?
Everybody lifts weights.
Yeah.
You know, everybody runs, we all do the same thing. I've never met a coach that in August said, you know what, my team didn't work very hard this offseason.
Yeah.
I've never met a coach that said that. I don't know. You know, we try to not have a lot of rules. You know, I've seen guys that have like 27 team rules. One thing I got when I was an assistant at Robert Morris, we had 3 rules. That was it.
Keep it simple.
We had 3 rules.
Yeah.
And everybody within the program was on board with those 3 rules. We could all police it. We could all hold each other accountable. And I kind of did the same thing here. We got 3 rules. That's it. And the consistency of applying those 3 rules, you know, and then just telling the guys like I need whatever you've got today. I need the best version of yourself today. As a father, some days when I get home, I only got 50, 60% left in the tank to give to my kids.
That's a lot. You know, I'd imagine you have less than that.
And, you know, sometimes I got to look at my wife and I only got 20 or 30%
and
left.
She's needing you.
Yeah.
Because she's been with them all day.
That's all I've got right now.
Yeah.
I need to make sure if I only got 30% in the tank, I'm giving 30%.
Yeah.
And that's something that we talk about. You know, I think our worst days are Mondays. I think Monday morning in the weight room is the worst day of the whole week.
Yeah, Monday.
It's miserable. It's miserable.
Yeah.
But I'm telling those guys, if you only got 82% today, I need 82% today. So, okay, can I be the best version of myself? And I think that's kind of like that non-negotiable that you're talking about, right? Like,
yeah.
Can I give max amount of, how much max amount of effort can I give?
Who were your leaders this year? And maybe not in stats, but the guys who set the tone every day.
Yeah, Hayden Burpo did a lot for us on and off the field, and I watched him develop as more of a vocal leader than he had been in the past. It's so, you know, he's the one that probably stands out the most, and he stands out the most on Fridays. But I think a lot of our kids did a really good job of, maybe even if they weren't vocal, they did a much better job this year of holding each other accountable. And I think that was kind of the leadership role, right? Like there's not really one or two that I would say like that's the guy, that's the leader, right? You know, Steven Anderson leads a lot different than Hayden Burpo does.
What number was Steven?
7.
7, that's right.
You know, he leads a whole lot. He leads differently.
Do you believe that he's the guy we saw at Ingles?
Yeah, They're two totally different leaders. But I think consistently throughout the program, the accountability factor was huge, even at practice. Like, someone dropping a pass. I did not create this rule. I've never told our guys if they drop a pass, they owe 10 push-ups. I've never said that.
The team installed it.
The team kind of installed that throughout the year, right? So, all right, if y'all police it, I'm fine with that, So the accountability factor just from everybody, so it's hard to really say, like, there was one leader or two leaders or, whatever.
The primary objective of high school football coaching is to raise good men. I think you would agree with that statement, right? The one thing that I think that we've gotten away from in 2025 is that notion. Everything's chasing this greater moment, whether it be through athletes being starred now. People, I don't know where this started, but you can be a 2-star or a 4-star, but who sets that star rank? Like, how do you even get a star? It feels a lot like a blue check on Instagram. How do you get a blue check? Back in the day, you had to know somebody at Instagram to get a blue check, and now you can pay for one. Is that happening these days? Can you pay for 5 stars? I wonder. When you look at your athletes, many of them probably don't meet the sizing chart to go on to play even Division 2 or 3, but they're fantastic high school athletes. And they play hard and they live out their glory days like the rest of us did back in the day, and then they move on with their lives. One thing your number 7 said to me after the game, and I enjoyed talking with him, I was like, are you wrestling? What are you doing after this? And he's like, honestly, man, I just really enjoy working. Who says that? He just wants to go. He's like, I enjoy making money. I'm just going to go work, and then I'll figure it out after that. I like working on my truck. And these are all very modest things, very Black Mountain of him to say that, He and I drive similar vehicles, but I thought that was very admirable to hear. And as I've come through the last 4 or 5 years, my favorite athletes are not the ones that go on to play Division 1 or 2. They're the guys who are done on that last game on Friday night, and then they go and, like Cade Sturgill at North Lincoln, he's one of my favorite athletes to ever play the game. He's an electrician, and all of his friends went to college, and he's like, nah, that's not for me.
Yeah.
I'm just going to work on houses and start making money. And I love that. Can you speak on that mindset as a coach?
I think that society is kind of transitioning right now a little bit, right? Like when I was in high school and even, grade school coming up, it was go to college, go to the military, go to college, go to the military, go to college, go to the military.
Or you're a loser.
Like, that's it. That's the only, you either got to go to college or you got to go to the military.
And the military was frowned upon.
Yeah, I mean, it was a backup plan for most, truthfully.
Go into debt, $60,000, or go in the military and make money.
Yeah. I think things are transitioning a little bit now. I mean, I can feel a little bit of a transition where I have to go to college is not the mindset for everyone nowadays. I think the trades are coming back around. I think
it's important.
I think they're coming back around, just especially, within this community. And I'm sure with other communities too, but I hear those conversations and I talk to young men like, hey, do you want to go to college? Nah, not really. I want to go be an electrician. I want to go be this or that. And having a plan. I have this conversation with my daughter, and my daughter's only 9. But I want her to understand where I stand with it because nobody told me this. If whatever your goals are in life, whatever you want to be, etc., if you don't need to go to college to do that, you don't have to go to college. If you want to be a teacher, yeah, you need to go to college.
Doctor, lawyer.
Yeah, you need to go to college. If you don't want to be those things, don't go to college just to go to college.
Yep.
You have other resources. You have other avenues. You want to be a nurse? You can go to college. Or you can do this, you can go this route. You can go military and they'll train you up and
become a nurse.
And become a nurse. Like, you have other avenues.
That might be the better way to go.
And I haven't, nobody had that conversation with me because, again, 20 years ago, the only stuff I ever heard was, you got to go to college and pick a major and do, this, and this. Or you need to go to the military. And I remember having a Marine and a Navy recruiter in my house, having, recruiting me for that. I remember, going through a football recruiting scene, a lacrosse recruiting scene, and I remember applying to 5 universities that I wasn't going to play ball at, and it's just like options. What am I going to do? Whereas if I would have probably had a little bit more guidance, this is what I want to do. What are the resources and avenues that I can get to that? And I think people are seeing that more now, where, now you have more kids I could be dead wrong on this, but you have more kids not going to college just to go to college.
Oh, no, that's true. And you're correct on that. It's not a huge number yet, but it's about to be, I think.
I think it is too.
This podcast and many others actually is a part of the Swannanoa Valley Chamber and Trade School Initiative. We're looking to establish a trade school that funnels into a Chamber of Commerce right in Swannanoa. Our eyes are set on the Beacon District, but a lot of things have to happen before we can make that a reality. But that all starts here at the high school level. How do we get high school athletes or even non-athletes to realize that they can go a different route and there's a third option? Trade school is a third option. And it's always been there. The community colleges have always offered trades since we were young. And I just think they were often overlooked for military or four-year institutions.
I know my high school, the local radio station, okay? So the local, it went from, you could pick it up from Raleigh all the way to Wilmington. That radio station was in my high school, was headquartered in my high school.
It's great.
And students ran it with the guidance of a teacher. And that created an avenue for a lot of students because that was really cool.
I would have been in there. AV club all the way.
That was really cool for a lot of people.
Think about what you learn in there.
Oh, yeah, unbelievable. The communication skills and,
you learn about ASCAP and BMI and all of the music rights and licensings and.
Shoot, I remember just taking drafting in high school. To start, I never had a desire to be an architect. Never had that desire. But one of our assistant football coaches and one of my assistant lacrosse coaches was the teacher. So naturally, it made me want to take the class. I needed an elective. But learning how to do that stuff on a computer and all that,
it's fascinating.
By the end of it, I had skills that not normal people my age had,
And talk about pivot foot. If you ever needed to, you could always take that and start building on that later.
You could, absolutely. And I just, from the time I was 6 years old, I've always known what I wanted to do. I always have. And I think I'm blessed in that area.
Can you tell me about that story, about how you realized you wanted to be a football coach?
Yeah, absolutely. when I was a kid, I remember it was 1996, so I would have been about 7 years old. We were watching playoff football. I believe the Steelers and the Colts were playing.
Back to the Colts.
Yeah, Steelers and the Colts were playing. And I remember that was the first game that I had ever watched, and I didn't watch a lot of it, right? But the following week was Super Bowl 30, Dallas versus Pittsburgh.
Oh, yes.
And I remember watching it, and I was hooked.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I didn't know that was the last game of the year.
Yeah.
So for like 4 months, I was trying to find football on the TV.
Yeah.
You know, and I got hooked. And I was one of life's pathetic creatures. I was a Cowboys fan as a kid, but I can go through and name the majority of that 96 roster, right?
Sure.
Like, you know.
I probably could too.
It was legit. And I started watching it. Now, here's where the coaching part came in, because I think everybody always starts off as like, I want to be a player. So my family did not have cable, okay? So the only football I watched was what was on local television, right? I
On the Switch style.
Yeah. I mean, I think we were a little bit more advanced. We had a remote, but you know, we only had like maybe 6 or 10 channels. That's why I followed a lot of Notre Dame football, because they were always on NBC.
Was your TV a piece of furniture?
No, but I will say this: at my grandparents' house, the
That big
TV
box.
was
Yeah.
a huge box.
A huge box.
And when they got a new TV, they didn't take that one out. They just put the new TV on
That's
top
right.
of that
We
TV.
did the same thing.
I remember it wasn't until I was like 15 or 16. I'm like, you know, we could like take that out. You know, like, I mean, we don't have to keep the TV from the 80s in there. But so here's where the coaching part came in. I don't know if this makes me a nerd or not.
It's okay.
So what I would do is, my grandmother, if I got the VHS tapes, would record football games for me. So like Sunday night football, the college games that came on ESPN, like stuff like that on cable television. So I would go and you could get a 3-pack of blank VHS tapes. It's a 3-pack of blank VHS tapes. I'd get that, you know, or someone would buy them for me or whatever. And I'd give them to her, and you could get 6 hours of film on those blank VHS tapes, because, you know, that's back when the recorders were, you know, the video cameras were that big, and you would put the actual VHSs in.
3 hours each side.
Yep. So she would just record random football games for me. So even in the off season, I would watch those like kids watch Disney movies.
You're studying tape already.
I didn't know that at the time. And as I got older, you know, now we're talking about going 10 to 12, I'm still watching. You know, I'll never forget, I had a Monday night game of the Lions versus the Bears when Barry Sanders was there.
Oh, have I seen that game?
And, you know, and like,
This was the Barry Sanders breakout.
yeah, like,
Yeah.
you know, where Barry Sanders would make any football lover, just every time you say the name Barry Sanders, they remember.
It's poetry.
It's my humble opinion, is the best to ever play that position, just because of what he could do, how he could do it, and it was magical to watch him do a 2-yard run. And so I would watch this stuff, right? And so as I got older, and now I'm understanding football more, now I'm starting to understand the difference between what cover 4 and cover 2 is.
Yeah.
I'm listening to announcers, and they're saying like, oh, they're in an overfront. Well, what's an overfront? Okay, this is an overfront. Got it.
And there wasn't Google back then.
Yeah.
You just had to figure it out.
And then times changed, and you know, you couldn't do VHSs anymore, and over time, all that stuff. I would love to. You know, I had VHSs of Pat Tillman playing safety, You know,
Oh, boy.
Brian Urlacher playing Mike. I had that stuff. I mean, I bet from the 1997 season through about the 2003-ish, 2-ish season, I probably had 40 games on a VHS.
Yeah.
And if it was a Wednesday, I may pop one in and I watched the game 40 times.
Well, I do that now. Just, if I'm missing my dad, he's passed, I'll just put a game on in the background while I work.
Yeah. And so that love and passion started to developing, right? And I got into cards. I got into buying football cards, and that kind of parlayed me into other sports. I started loving other sports. So I knew from this age I wanted to be in sports. And I didn't necessarily want to be an athlete. I think we all did when we were 6. But, I didn't necessarily want to be an athlete. And I'd have a week or two where I'm like, maybe I want to be an engineer. Maybe I want to be a police officer. And it would just always circle back. So then it became, what can I be in sports? Okay.
Right.
Here's some options. Bang, 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 bang. Got it. And
in this area, it's football.
yeah, and had some really great male role models in my life that were coaches.
It's the story of the century for this type of stuff.
Yeah, had some really great role models.
And you had a father and everything, and all that was good.
It was.
Not to get too personal.
Yeah, no, I mean, my relationship with my father was always a little rocky. He wasn't a bad father. It's just my parents were split.
Oh, I'm sorry.
My dad lived in Nashville. I lived on the eastern coast of North Carolina, so it was.
That's tough.
It was just rocky,
But it's funny you say that, because in a way you're kind of seeking out these male role models through your life to fill that void wherever you felt it was necessary.
Yeah. And again, I don't ever want to say my father was a bad father.
No, but he wasn't.
He just wasn't there.
Yeah.
He for whatever circumstances, he wasn't always around.
Well, this is a very interesting discovery in this conversation, because as you know, the documentary we're making starts with Nick Basil's life as a coach. And I may have told you, I don't know, but he started out very similarly. His father wasn't in the picture, and his greatest role models were his football coaches.
Yeah.
And he saw them as father figures all the way through. And then he adopted his son Matt, who also was missing that in his life. And then Matt became a coach, and you and Matt are about the same age.
Okay. Yeah, I just always knew that it's what I wanted to do, and I chased it. I was at the collegiate level for a while, and was at the FBS level, and was setting my career up to be the best version of a football coach that I could be. And then I had kids, and when I started having personal kids,
Your own children.
Yeah, being a father began to take priority, right? Being a father kind of started beginning to take priority in my life. So things had to change, and so the high school level kind of became that new avenue, right? That new way of I can.
Well, I want to ask you, since we're on this topic, when you find yourself coaching these athletes, and some of them may not have fathers in their own lives, how do you approach them? Because you probably see some of yourself in them.
I honestly think these kids do more for me than I do for them. But I would hope, actually I know, that if we lined up every one of those kids that I coached, even in the past, that they would say, I never doubted that Coach Faircloth loved me and wanted what was best for me.
This brings me to an interesting segue. I had the lovely opportunity to witness your pregame speech before the final game of the year, and you got a little emotional. Can you walk me through those emotions that night and what it meant for you to take those guys out on the field that last time?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a passionate person. Like I am. I'm a passionate person. I cry a lot.
Sure.
Like I am emotional.
Well,
my demeanor is calm.
When do you cry?
Well, crying is just a natural body's reaction when you don't know how to handle an emotion.
Right.
Right? When you're so sad that your body doesn't know how to handle it, you cry. When you're so happy that your body doesn't know how to handle it, you cry. It's a natural reaction. Everybody has that ability.
It's a very healthy reaction, too.
No, everybody has that reaction. Everybody has that capability. My level of proudness, I guess, my level of proudness in that moment was so grand that that's how my body reacted.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those kids, Hayden Burpo had never had a winning season in any sport.
Yeah, and imagine what that does to the psyche of a man over the years.
You're talking about in a 4-year high school career,
and even before
the 4-year high school career, the best player on my team had never had a winning record in any sport that he played, and now he had it. You know,
something.
Imagine that. You know, to not have a home playoff game in 11 years,
and then they get one,
and then we get one.
Yeah.
So, in that moment, I was so proud.
Yeah.
And it wasn't anything that I did. I was genuinely happy for the Valley. So, yeah, I got a little emotional. And I wanted to win the game.
I know.
I wanted to win the game. I wanted that one more victory. I wanted that one more. But I went to bed that night and slept perfectly fine because we had accomplished a good amount of stuff.
Well, I want to ask, did you install the horse corral that they come to? Has that been a tradition here?
That was something that was brought. Listen, as a head coach,
that was something else. I tell you.
I tell you, as a head coach, you're going to have about 1,000 people come up to you with an idea about something.
Yeah.
Okay. And I've always told people, I mean this, I will listen to everything, and then it's my job to sift through it.
Yeah.
And at one point when this was brought to my attention, I said, I am 1,000% on board as long as I don't have to plan it.
That's right. Don't.
Nope, I do not want to have to plan it. Someone else is going to be responsible for it. So Thursday at 5 o'clock, a group pulled me to the side and said, okay, this is what we're going to do.
Was this before the first game, the playoff game?
This was before the playoff game.
I thought y'all might have been doing that all year.
No, that was that was a group of people that just wanted to do something a little unique.
What a wild goose chase! Because I was expected to come back out and do the regular where they walk down the steps, and the next thing you know, I'm chasing these boys up a hall, through the steps, up another set of steps, down another hall, and then we somehow land on the back of the school, and they all shoved me into the trailer with them, and I'm in the trailer coming down. I don't know where we are. And that ride in the trailer felt like 30 minutes. I bet it was like 5 minutes. Yeah. And then they pop out at the stadium. It was an interesting way to, open the game,
It was cool.
The way they came out, man, if we could have brought that one home, that would have been
no doubt.
perfect. But it is the way it is, man. I'm coming to an end here.
Yeah,
I
great.
want to ask you one last question. And this is kind of redundant, but looking ahead, what's the one non-negotiable for Owen this offseason?
We got to get consistent. We just got to get consistent. You know, winning's not a sometimes thing, it's an all the time thing.
Yeah.
So we just got to get consistent. We got to compete a little bit better in other aspects. I don't like, you know, I get this from my grandfather, who was very old school. I don't like people telling me that they are certain ways. My grandfather used to always talk about, like, if a man's got to tell you he's a Christian,
Right.
there's a problem.
He's probably got something loose in that Christianity.
Right? Like, if a man's got to
Yeah.
tell you he's a Christian, there's a problem. So we've got to get competitive in everything that we do. We've got to get competitive in the classroom. How good of a grade can I get?
Yes.
How high of a GPA can I get?
And that
We've
plays
gotta
into
get
confidence too.
Yeah, we've got to get so, by God, competitive that we're annoying.
Yeah.
Like, we don't need to tell people we're competitive. We don't need to tell people, I don't need to be telling every interview, like, well, my kids are going to compete. We're going to compete. We're going to put ourselves in position to compete.
And show
All
up.
this stuff. We need, by God, people to know that these guys are going to consistently compete at a max effort level. So I guess it's 3 non-negotiables, right?
Sure.
This is a very player-led program. You know, I think people may find that hard to believe. This is a very player-led program. My players make a lot of decisions on what we do and how we do it. They have got to make the decision to take it from here to here. And I will show them how. I will teach them. But we've got to consistently compete all the time. All the time. So that's kind of going to be the emphasis this whole offseason moving forward.
All right. Well, maybe we can talk again in the spring.
Sure. Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for joining me.
Yep. Thanks for having me.
I'm Josh Lloyd, and this is Swannanoa Valley.